Herzlich willkommen zur Online-Session mit unserem geschätzten Partner Vision und ihren spannenden Kundenprojekten Project Syn und Assurance.ch. Ich möchte Ihnen nun unseren Experten kurz vorstellen, den wir aus dem Hause Vision für das Thema Project Syn gewinnen konnten. Kurze Info, die Session wird oft Englisch stattfinden. Ich denke, das ist kein Problem für unsere Teilnehmer. Adrian Kosmaczewski leitet die Beziehungen zu Entwicklern bei Vision, dem Unternehmen DevOps. Er ist seit 1996 Softwareentwickler, Ausbilder und veröffentlichter Autor. Adrian Kosmaczewski hat einen Masterabschluss in Informationstechnologie von der Universität Liverpool. Und ohne größere Umschweife übergebe ich an Adrian. Viel Spaß.
Dankeschön, Benjamin. Also ich hoffe, es ist gut für alles, dass ich werde auf Deutsch mein Gespräch machen. Ich habe ein sehr argentinischer Deutsch. Also I hope my English will be a bit less Argentine than I usually sound. Anyway, thanks a lot for the introduction. Thanks a lot, Exoscale A1, for this opportunity. It's really cool to be with you today. And I'm going to talk about Project Syn. So I'm going to share my screen. This will stop other screens sharing. So I say yes, and I will share this window right here. Very good. So you should be seeing my slides right on the screen right now. And I'm going to talk about something we've been working inside of Vision. I'm going to talk a little bit what is Vision, what is it that we do, how do we work with Exoscale, how do we do all the magic of Kubernetes come to life for our customers. And we are working on a project we call Project Syn, very mysterious name, actually a very useful tool for us. And I think it could be very useful for you and your customers as well, or your own company. If you're working on IT and with Kubernetes, I can certainly say it will be very useful to you. So first of all, some words about Vision. So first of all, how do you pronounce the name? Vision, just like the word vision. So it's very simple. We started in 2014. Right now we are 42 Visioneers, and we've been from the very beginning the leaders in the DevOps market. Actually, our motto is literally the DevOps company. This is what we do. We work very closely with Exoscale, Kubernetes, Red Hat, Google, AWS, you name it. We really want to help all companies to leverage the power of DevOps to take their applications to the cloud in the easiest possible way. We've got our own cloud platform that we launched together with another company from Switzerland called Puzzle IT. So we work together to bring Apuyo to life, which is a platform as a service based on Red Hat OpenShift. And it's very, very popular and based in Switzerland as well, which many customers like very much. So some figures about us, we are 42 people. Right now, we've got more than 350 partners. We don't like to call them customers. And we manage day in, day out, 24/7, 1,500 servers and almost 100,000 services. So that's a lot of services per Visioneer, around 1,500 per Visioneer. So it's a lot of information to handle, a lot of responsibility, but we do our best and our customers like it. So that's really going very well. Now, let us go to the subject of the day, which is the agenda for today. First of all, I'm going to explain to you what is Project Syn, why it is so important to us, why it could be important to you as well. What are the benefits that it brings? We clearly created Project Syn to solve specific problems, and we are already using it in production with great success as well. We have not yet reached version 1.0, but we are working for that very, very strongly. And again, a call of action for all of you. Maybe some of you would like to help us to collaborate, to use Project Syn. I'm going to show you exactly how to get started and where. So first of all, what is Project Syn? This is the question. So in order to answer this question, we need to go a little bit back in time. And I don't know if you remember a time where, servers had names. You had servers with typically Greek gods or characters from Star Wars, or maybe animal names. And then if you had your mail server was called Bob, if Bob went down, basically the whole company couldn't have any more mail. And then the web server was named Zeus, because maybe that's where you generate the more money. So that's the most powerful of all the servers and so on. So we were treating all of our servers like pets. Literally, that was the world. And at some point, virtualization came into the play. So we started having a lot of Xen and a lot of VMware going in around 2005. We started going into this direction. So all of a sudden, those servers became cattle. And then at some point in 2010, we started going deeper and deeper in this virtualization. And at some point, we created containers. And somehow those containers made those virtual machines become cattle themselves. And then Kubernetes came in 2015, and all of a sudden those containers became cattle. And Kubernetes will automatically load and unload pods as the demand grows or shrinks. And this is a trend that continues. And we think, and actually it's something we're seeing a lot in the industry right now, that the next step are federations. That is Kubernetes clusters as cattle. So clearly we are starting to see among our customers and in the industry, a lot of companies launching a huge number of Kubernetes clusters, having to keep synchronized applications and configuration in a lot of different environments. Could it be in AWS, in Exascale, you name it, any cloud provider, you can have your clusters there, but you have to maintain, you have to update. It becomes very complicated. Actually, maybe in 5 years from now, we're going to be talking about federations as cattle. You know how this goes fast. Who knows what the future brings in any case. Project Syn, as this slide says, it's a tool to provision, update, backup, and observe applications on Kubernetes in the cloud. And it's based on the principle of GitOps and DevOps. So basically, we are trying to make as much usage as possible of configuration as code and GitOps, that is reacting to the changes on a Git repository somewhere on GitLab, on GitHub, on your private Git repository, doesn't matter, in a way of being able to react automatically and deploy those changes of configuration and applications all over your clusters in one shot, and making sure that there is a system taking care of synchronizing secrets, configuration, apps, payloads, whatever it is that you need. So Project Syn comes bundled with a lot of very interesting features. First of all, multi-cluster and multi-tenant management. Of course, your clusters have a tenant, and you as a manager of those tenants, you might have multi-tenants as well to manage, multiple tenants to manage. And this is something that Project Syn allows you to do. As I mentioned, GitOps operations, just commit your changes, push them to Git, and observe the changes happen in real time on your clusters, wherever they are. Configuration management is super important. It means all of the little details that make or break your Kubernetes installation. And when you have lots of different clusters to manage, keeping change of all of those changes can be a pain. So this is the core idea of Project Syn, being able to get rid of that pain by offering an automated solution for that. Not only that, Project Syn offers a killer feature, in my opinion, which is the Commodore components. And we are going to talk a lot about reusable components today. It is the possibility of encapsulating knowledge of your organization, configuration settings, application payloads that you want to deploy uniformly all over your clusters in a simplified way, and being able to share this within your organization, or if you work on open source settings like we do, to share it with other people. And you're going to see there's a whole ecosystem booming of Commodore components right now, and it's really, really exciting to see that in place. Secret management. This is something that some of the competitors of Project Syn don't offer. And we have integrated secret management so that we can securely deploy secrets across all of your clusters. And these secrets, you know, it's a pain in the ass to manage. You have to take care of tokens, you have to take care of passwords. We want to take care of that for you in a secure way using open source tools and removing this responsibility from you as much as possible. And of course, service provisioning. Thanks to Project Syn, you can actually deploy and bring down services all across your clusters with a unified interface. And that simplifies the management of your Kubernetes cluster tremendously. We are using already Project Syn in production, and I can tell you, we are really seeing the benefits of it. So a quick diagram of how Project Syn is structured. So the elements that you see in blue on this diagram are actual components of Project Syn. The box on the right side, on the top right side of the slide, it's any Kubernetes cluster that has been synthesized. That's the word we use when we have installed Project Syn, the Project Syn elements in a remote cluster. We call it that it's been synthesized. At some point, we were using the word synfected, but for obvious reasons that are of public knowledge, we prefer not to use that word these days. So let's say synthesize. And that comes with the tool called Steward. Steward in itself is based on an open source toolkit for GitOps called Argo CD. And Argo CD keeps an eye on the cluster catalog, and the green boxes are Git repos. There are Git repos with the catalog of applications installed on a particular, on the clusters of a particular tenant. And there are Git repositories, separate ones for the configuration of the whole setup of your tenants and the whole family, the whole federation of all the clusters of your tenant. Then we have the Lieutenant API. The Lieutenant API is the core truth point for the whole of Project Syn. We can talk to the Lieutenant API to trigger events all over our federation. And then we have Commodore that allows the red box that you see on the diagram, which are Commodore components, which are extension points with an open API. And we welcome people, and we're starting to see people contributing Commodore components. And that encapsulates functionality. Could it be Prometheus? Could it be backup? Many, many different cross-cutting concerns that we can extract from this common infrastructure and share it within your organization or in the open source world. So it brings a lot of value and a lot of possibilities for the future of this platform. Enough said about what is Project Syn. This is what Project Syn is. What benefits does it bring? Actually, we have three separate responses for this. First of all, for developers, then for operators, and then for security people. Actually, Project Syn, it's a DevSecOps tool. It allows you to ensure the DevSecOps procedures all across your federation in a unified way with a unified language. And this is a very powerful tool. So let's go step by step. First of all, for developers, what are the benefits? First of all, the automated services deployments. We are using Crossplane, which is an open source toolkit. We've got, by the way, we've got a partnership with Crossplane that allows us to know very well how Crossplane works, and we're using it to automate services deployments. We can automate backup of data using our own Kate app operator using Restic. This is incorporated into the Project Syn platform. We can do GitOps as developers. That means that we just commit code to our repositories and things happen. This creates a very dynamic flow of changes all across the clusters of your federation. And this is very important. Of course, secret management. This is very important as well. Instead of having a distributed and having to have hacks to somehow pass these tokens or those passwords all over the federation, we have a centralized Vault instance. Vault, it's an open source secret management database that is very, very well known in the industry. We are using those open standards to build Project Syn, and this brings as well a lot of value. And finally, we are leveraging the whole power of the cloud native foundation tools in order to bring notifications about the behavior and the actions that are going on inside of all the clusters of your federation. So you can have a single point of contact, a single point of view of anything that is going wrong or well inside of your federation. So these are the benefits for the developers. Of course, for operations, there are a lot of benefits as well. Using Commodore, we can encapsulate configuration management. We can distribute this configuration management, these configuration values all over the clusters of our federation. And this will simplify dramatically the management of these clusters. And because we are using configuration as code, we can clearly see what is going on all of our clusters at once. We have a central cluster registry and inventory. That is, there is one single point provided by Lieutenant, the API, and the operator connected to each steward instance inside of each cluster in our federation. We can know at every time which cluster belongs to whom. We use this all the time inside of Vision. Our technical teams are able this way to accurately know whose cluster we are talking to, whose cluster we are servicing today, what maintenance tasks must be done in which clusters, and so on. You've seen at the very beginning of the presentation, we are only 42 people. We are managing 88,000 services. You can imagine that Project Syn was born out of our own needs about managing so many systems for all of our customers. And of course, there is the component maintenance with Renovate. This is super important. We can get notifications about outdated project components, application components, and security issues. We can have this knowledge into our workflow and be able to react before the customer even notices in many cases. Sometimes we just send an email to our customers telling them, hey, by the way, we fixed this and that, you didn't even notice, but here is the current status. So this is very, very important. And even more important is the fact that we can write policies for our customers, for our Kubernetes clusters, in a centralized way using another open source tool, which is the Open Policy Agent, which I will show in a minute. Finally, I want to talk about the benefits for DevSecOps as a whole. So as you can see, I've been talking about benefits for developers, benefits for operations. Let's put everything in context, in the bigger picture. And this is a very, very important part of the talk. And I really want you to pay attention to the following steps. There are 5 major elements how Project Syn can contribute to your DevSecOps initiative in your own company. First of all, auditability. Thanks to GitOps and the fact that Argo CD is underpinning the work of steward, every time you commit something to your Git repo, it will be automatically picked up and deployed. This allows you to know exactly what is going on in your clusters at every single time. Not only that, but we enforce all the commit changes to those particular repositories with signed commits. So we know exactly who are the people working on those changes. So you know exactly if something broke, unfortunately, you can actually take action if needed. Of course, Git by itself provides a wealth of information about who, what, and when happened on your project. Imagine being able to describe in a clear language, looking at the logs, exactly what was going on your clusters for the past few days. This is invaluable for teams doing DevOps. And configuration rollback. Of course, if something goes wrong, just go back to the previous version and everything will be synchronized automatically across all of the clusters in your federation. And this is one of the great key features of GitOps. And of course, Project Syn takes advantage of it. Container registries bring vulnerability analysis. And this is very important. All the images used by Project Syn comes from centralized repositories. These repositories contain images validated by our teams. We use these images day in and day out in our own work every day, and they are all compatible with classic Kubernetes and OpenShift. For those of you who don't know, OpenShift has certain regulations regarding the type of images, particularly the users that can run inside of those containers that you use in your OpenShift cluster. So we make sure that all of those images are valid for OpenShift and classic Kubernetes, any kind of Kubernetes, going from Minikube to K3s to GKE on Google, and you name it. And Rancher, of course. And this goes without saying, comes with vulnerability scanning. We make sure at every time that these images are free from vulnerabilities, and we take action in those cases if needed. The immutability aspect of Project Syn brings a strong support for maintainability. We are basing all of our work on Renovate. Renovate makes sure that all the versions of the software that gets distributed to all of those clusters is does not present known vulnerabilities. Of course, we all know that software can have unknown vulnerabilities, and very often does. And these makes all of our systems, all the clusters in your federation managed by Project Syn to be automatically updated and being up to date all the time. We do this by matching hashes to avoid spoofing. So this makes the whole deployment much more secure and much more reliable. And of course, we work a lot through manifests, and we have a central view of all of the pull requests required for maintenance. Given the fact that we are using GitOps, we can basically use the pull request and merge request features of GitLab or GitHub, for example, to have a discussion within the maintenance teams before deploying a change to all of the clusters of your federation. Of course, logging. To be able to trace what is going on in your clusters, you need a non-unified view, and we base our own Project Syn logging features on Prometheus. Of course, it's the standard tool from the Cloud Native Foundation. It is well known by most teams all over the world, and we don't want to reinvent the wheel, so that you get all the views of all of your Project Syn managed clusters on the same place in one point of view. And this is very important for us as well. Finally, the policy management. Policy management allows you to enforce particular configurations of security or management inside of those different clusters in your Project Syn federation. And this is based on an open source project called the Open Policy Agent, which is a project from the CNCF as well. And these policies, and I'm going to show an example in a few minutes, are based on the Rego language. So for example, you can specify that all images in this family of clusters, in this federation, must come from that registry, that no image could have the latest tag or no image runs as root, which is the example I was providing a few minutes ago about OpenShift. This is something that actually you need for OpenShift. This way you can enforce the configuration policies all over the clusters in your federation at any single time. And this is something embedded in the heart of Project Syn. So for example, let's see what a Rego policy looks like. Here we are specifying the kind of input, which are for pods. We don't want pods whose specification, the container image, comes from a repository from verboten.com. We don't want to have images coming from that place. And this way we can have an error message, which is image placeholder comes from an untrusted registry, and this will automatically appear in Signalilo, Prometheus, and so on. So this provides a very, very good point of view for your DevSecOps infrastructure in order to know exactly what is going on in all of those clusters that you're managing. And this is one of the great powers of Project Syn as well. So just to summarize a little bit, GitOps helps you for the auditability of your federation. The container registry brings help for vulnerabilities management. Maintenance brings immutability to your clusters. Logging brings traceability, and the policy management, very important, brings enforceability of certain characteristics of the configuration that you would like to have in all of your clusters all around your federation. So a little word about the roadmap right now. Version Syn is in heavy development, and right now we are shipping version 0.4. You can go online on GitHub. I'm going to show the URL shortly, and you will see that 0.4 is the current version that we have. So there's a lot of work going on. We started the project last year in September of 2019, and we have added a lot of features lately. So right now we have plenty of new features, like for example, the possibility of using only one API call to synthesize a cluster, and new commands for the Commodore tool to create new components using cookie cutter, and lots of documentation. This is one of our goals for the current release 1.0, is to work on documentation. We want to have a lot of help for people who would like to use Project Syn in their own environment. Our roadmap brings more documentation to the table. This is super important for us. We want to improve the developer experience. We want to make sure that people can install Project Syn, they can deploy new components, they can create new components if they want to, in a very simple way with all the help that they need. We want to automate as much as possible of everything that has to do with cluster provisioning. You have a new cluster, it has to be super easy for you to integrate it to your tenant. And this is something we're working about right now. We want to automatically bootstrap those clusters if needed, of course. And we want to create a Commodore component hub that will showcase the current status of Commodore components all over the internet. You can see the roadmap in this webpage. Syn.tools is the homepage of Project Syn, syn.tools, and you can see the roadmap from there. The Commodore Component Hub, I'm going to show for the first time a short preview of what it will look like. This is a alpha, really early alpha screenshot of a work we are doing right now. Is this the Commodore Components Hub, and it will be automatically generated reading all the clusters from GitHub that have a particular tag, which is the Commodore component tag, and we build a website out of that, and this website will contain all the information from all the components, and so far we have more than 25 components, the vast majority done by Vision, of course, but you can see there's a lot of very interesting things like backup with KTAP, FluentBit, crossplane, OpenShift 4 related components. There's a lot of knowledge, there's a lot of best practices we're encapsulating in each one of these. It's a fantastic tool for your own needs. So I hope we are going to be publishing this very soon. It's in heavy development as we speak. So hopefully for version 0.5, we're going to have a preview of the components hub. So a call to action to you. If you would like to use Project Syn, if you would like to contribute to Project Syn, go to the homepage of Project Syn in syn.tools, or go to GitHub in github.com/Project Syn. These are the base strong hubs that we are using for all of our development. Actually, you can find in GitHub even the architectural definition documents the team has created and debated and worked on for every one of the features of Project Syn. So everything is documented, even to the level of the definition of each feature. You can find the documents, it's called the Syn definition documents, the SDDs. They are available on syn.tools. You can know every single decision, how it's been taken, and what is going on. So we are making this a development that is completely transparent, and we're very happy to share it with the community. So that was an introduction to Project Syn. Those are the problems that we wanted to solve with it. And I think, given the current evolution of the market, Project Syn actually fits in the gist of times, in the zeitgeist. We actually are starting to see this evolution of federations of Kubernetes clusters, and Kubernetes clusters are becoming cattle. So we hope to contribute with Project Syn with a tool that helps you in your DevSecOps initiatives with security, with development support and operation support for all of your clusters. So thank you so much for your attention.
Wunderbar. Vielen herzlichen Dank, Adrian. Dann teile ich mal wieder meinen Bildschirm. So, war klar. Danke, Adrian, für die spannenden Einblicke in Project Syn. Uns haben 2, 3 Fragen erreicht, deswegen möchte ich jetzt auch gern in die Q&A-Session starten. Ich denke, da brennst du auch schon dafür. Und die erste Frage ist, warum Kubernetes und nicht Docker Swarm?
Entschuldigung, die erste Frage ist, warum Kubernetes und nicht Docker Swarm?
Genau.
Habe ich verstanden?
Ja.
Yeah. So why Kubernetes and no Docker Swarm? Because what we see in our customers is that Kubernetes has taken over. Kubernetes has become a de facto standard for orchestrating and running container-based payloads. So we are literally seeing an abandon of Docker Swarm and moving towards Kubernetes. And basically, as well, we have decided not to support Docker Swarm. When we started Project Syn, we wanted to move where the industry was going, following a little bit the adage of what Steve Jobs used to say, don't skate where the puck is, skate where the puck will be. And we think that the puck will be in the Kubernetes world, not so much in Docker Swarm. So that's why we made that bet. And so far it's paying off. I hope that answered your question.
I think so. So the second question relates to that one. How long did Vision counts on Kubernetes right now?
How much, excuse me?
How long? How long is Vision using Kubernetes?
Oh, we basically started using Kubernetes more or less when it started, when it came out in 2015. We became the first certified Kubernetes certified company in Switzerland in 2016. So we have a very, very heavy involvement with Kubernetes. We know Kubernetes inside out. We host pretty much everything we do on our own platform. We eat our own dog food day in, day out. I'm actually running the slide that you just see. You've seen actually are running on a web page, and that web page is actually running inside of a Docker container, inside of a Kubernetes cluster. So literally, we eat this Kubernetes dog food day in, day out. We are the experts in Switzerland, and we are really, really proud of having been using this technology for so long already, nearly since it was born.
So to go a step further, you are breathing Kubernetes, right?
We breathe Kubernetes day in, day out. Absolutely.
Perfect. So the last question which came to us is, what is the price to use Project Syn?
So the pricing for Project Syn, I don't have that information right now in mind, but you can check that out directly on the vision.ch website. You can have information about that. We are still working on Project Syn. So right now, one of the aspects, of course, is the whole productization of Project Syn right now. The whole of Project Syn by itself being open source, you can use it. So mostly what we sell is our expertise, the fact that we've developed it and we are already using it in production. But I don't have the numbers right now. Maybe Arno can help me there.
Sure. So to use a Project Syn, it's free because it's open source. You can use it. All the components are free to use. You can go them, you can download them, you can fork them, you can change them, do whatever you want to do them with them. What Vision as a company offers is a commercial product is the support for it, the 24/7 support for it, and we can run it for you, of course. And that there's a price list for that, which includes basically the management of the Kubernetes cluster and all the components that are then with that cluster, the synthesized cluster, basically, that then we can help you with, and we can of course offer you an SLA on that and the support SLA from that. You can call us 24/7, or you can fix it, as Adrian already said, we fix it ourselves and send you a mail at the morning 3 a.m. in the morning, like, oh, it's fixed already.
Das hört sich sehr, sehr cool an. An der Stelle vielen, vielen herzlichen Dank, Adrian, für die super Präsentation und Arno fürs Einspringen zum Pricing-Thema. Damit würde ich die Q&A-Session erst einmal schließen, dann natürlich das Angebot an alle Teilnehmer. Wenn Sie noch Fragen haben, die Sie interessieren, die Ihnen brennen, schickt sie gerne an uns. Wir leiten das auch an Vision weiter, kontaktiert Vision direkt. Da sind alle Türen offen und ich glaube, das Team ist sehr, sehr engagiert, die Fragen auch zu beantworten.